Hey, thanks for tuning in to this little video about cloud seeding. Now I understand many of you maybe already know about it, already know to what extent it's going on around in your environment, either for it or against it, but anyone who knows a little bit less than that is going to learn a lot from this video. So I'm going to start with a few news segments from the United States where it's being implemented. And they are going to be repetitive of each other. They'll try to explain to, the general population, this is what cloud seeding is, and this is what it hopes to do. But I think that you learn a little bit more with the repetition, and also with each news segment, they do have something unique that they talk about regarding cloud seeding. So here, again, is a few news segments from cloud seeding around the United States.
So we came to South Texas to find out if cloud seeding can really maximize our most precious resource, or if it's just a romantic notion that doesn't hold water. Craig Funky is flying me to the edge of a violent thunderstorm.
You see how nice and crisp the top of that cloud is up there?
Yeah.
But the former commercial pilot isn't some adrenaline junkie courting danger. He's a cloud seeder, chasing this menacing storm to squeeze out extra rain for the drought-stricken farmland below.
As a pilot going through school, you're taught to avoid thunderstorm.
This is Craig's job, firing chemicals into the clouds in a controversial attempt to modify the weather. He's literally a rainmaker.
That dark, thick cloud over there has lots of moisture in it.
That's part of the cloud that was seeded. It actually looks heavy with rain.
We can't manufacture a cloud. That is just absolute basic. We cannot make it rain if it was not going to rain to begin with.
Tommy Shearer is president of the Texas Weather Modification Association. He's quick to explain that he can only enhance the weather, not create it.
If you look at the cloud as a factory, we're inducing a lot of raw material into the factory so that the factory becomes more efficient.
And more productive.
Consequently more productive.
His team of pilots and meteorologists are constantly scanning the skies for the right clouds to seed.
Where everybody's going to get some good rain.
After 10 bone-dry days, a promising cluster of thunderstorms is finally headed their way. Butch is today's standby pilot. He takes the first run. Up in the air, we get a bird's eye view of Butch's delicate dance.
He's just working the very edge of it.
And then Butch finds the cloud sweet spot.
Okay, he's fixing to light a flare. Okay.
Oh, I see the flare.
Yeah.
It looks like he's painting the sky.
The flares are shooting millions of silver iodide and calcium chloride particles into the cloud, where they collide with drops of water and ice and produce even more moisture. Then, usually within 20 minutes...
So what is this white smoky stuff over here?
That's rain.
Oh, that's rain.
Yeah, that's rain. All this is rain out here. Turn 7 November, turn 11.
The LA Department of Public Works is working to make sure we get every drop of rain possible out of this storm.
We absolutely need it. As CBS 2's Amy Johnson shows us, cloud seeding is now underway.
With a small pop and a puff of smoke, cloud seeding is done in the hills above Pasadena.
Well, we send up particles from the apparatus behind me that will seed the cloud. It'll go into the cloud, and this particle will be attracting water vapor inside the cloud, creating a drop of water that starts as ice, and as it falls to earth, we get heavier rain.
This is just one of 10 sites where automated high-output generators, or AHOGs for short, have been set up around LA County.
Imagine it like igniting a traffic flare that is slow burning, and then the particles head skyward, almost like incense.
The technique can produce 10 to 15% more rain.
Imagine a weak rain cloud going overhead. With the particles that are sent from the cloud seeding, it creates a heavier rainfall from the cloud that's already overhead.
But what's really coming out of those canisters?
The active particle is a silver iodide molecule. It's pretty much microscopic once they dissipate.
The generators are actually controlled by a crew in Utah. Think of a mission control type of setting. They're able to watch exactly what's happening with the camera that's mounted here.
Before any of these canisters are triggered, we're carefully looking at the weather patterns, the wind patterns, how heavy the cloud cover is, the capacity of the reservoirs and the streams downstream.
And the clouds have to be just right for this to work.
If a storm is too heavy, we don't want to seed it and create a bigger problem. If a storm is too weak, there won't be enough water vapor to have the particles coalesce around.
Experts say it was the perfect storm to help out Mother Nature. In Pasadena, Amy Johnson, CBS 2 News.
Spread across Colorado's high country hills, machines like this are planting snow seeds in the clouds.
Cloud seeding does not create new weather, but it's a way to work with the weather passing through Colorado and get a little more snow from every event.
Snow is critical to Colorado. It's the primary source of our state's water supply. That's why the state of Colorado, the Colorado River District, 3 ski areas, and the Front Range Water Council, including Denver Water, help fund the Central Colorado Mountains River Basin Cloud Seeding Program.
This is silver iodide. This is what we use for cloud seeding. It's a naturally forming element. So this is put in a solution tank and sprayed over a propane flame.
The program uses 2 high-elevation, remotely operated generators and more than 20 manually operated machines.
So we pressurize our tank, and then we carefully light our chimney.
Generators vaporize the silver iodide, and winds lift the material into the clouds when conditions are right for enhancing snowfall.
Silver iodide adds additional particles to help harvest the atmospheric water. So then you have the 6-sided particle floating along in cloud, vapor starts to build on it, and when enough is added to that particle, it will turn into a snowflake and fall out.
The program seeds clouds over Eagle, Grand, Pitkin, and Summit counties to boost snowpack in the upper Colorado River Basin. Breckenridge, Keystone, and Winter Park ski areas help fund the program as well to generate extra snow at their resorts.
Over the past 30 years, Winter Park Resort has participated in some type of cloud seeding program. When the storm system comes in, we are able to turn on the cloud seeding generators, and that can bring an additional 1, 2 inches, 3 inches of snowfall. The benefit to the additional snowfall is important for the recreational resources, and it's a benefit to Denver Water because it's an additional amount of water that melts in the springtime for water users.
Mountain snowpack provides over 80% of water supply for Denver, so we're always interested in looking at options that could create more snow. While it's hard to pinpoint exactly how much snow is produced by cloud seeding, data suggests that it has been successful. So we continue to work with our partners on the east slope and the west slope to invest in cloud seeding.
You cannot seed every cloud that comes through Colorado. There's a window of opportunity for cloud seeding. We're trying to catch that part of the storm that's cold enough with a lot of liquid water in it.
Studies support the benefit of cloud seeding when proper atmospheric conditions exist.
You can get about 5 to 15% more snowpack from good machines burning a high silver rate and a wet, juicy storm.
Estimates from Western weather consultants show how small amounts of additional snow over wide areas add up over the course of the winter.
Over the last few seasons, we've estimated that within the CCMRB program that we've been able to produce on average around 60,000 additional acre feet of water for the entire area.
There is this kind of rich history of the lure of we can help with the clouds. We don't know everything, but we do know what types of clouds to seed, what material we should be using, and that it's not a cure-all, but it's going to add more to the system and be helpful.
So let's talk about Colorado for a minute. Let's look at the Denver Post. This is an article from earlier this year. Colorado's program, which costs $1 million a year, is paid for not just by the state, ski resorts, and local water users, but also by water districts as far away as Los Angeles that want to increase snowmelt into the Colorado River. Also, this article says major urban water districts in Arizona, California, and Nevada have funded cloud seeding in the Rocky Mountains for more than 10 years and are now close to signing an agreement with officials in Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming to split the costs of 9 more years of seeding. This is a cute pamphlet from North Dakota. Questions and answers about cloud seeding. Who pays for cloud seeding in North Dakota? The cost of cloud seeding. The costs are paid with funds from participating counties and cost share funds from the state. In recent years, about 2/3 of the project was paid through county funds and 1/3 by the state. Now, I already looked into it about forest fires. You can't cloud seed apparently to reduce forest fires during a fire. There's no clouds to work with. As we learned, you need clouds to work with. Now I want to go on to some news segments from around the world about cloud seeding. Again, they're going to be repetitive, but you're going to know what cloud seeding is backwards and forwards after this video.
With an aim to generate artificial rainfall in dry parts of the state, Maharashtra government is mulling to use cloud seeding technology. In this technology, a rocket propelled by sugar is fired at the clouds to generate rains. State Relief and Rehabilitation Minister Eknath Khadse said they had been approached by specialists in the field of cloud seeding who claim to generate rainfall using sugar-propelled rockets. We have asked them, the specialists, to give us a demonstration either at Jalgaon, some villages of Vidarbha or Marathwada region, which are dry areas. If the trial is successful, the government is open to trying it, Khadse said. Director of International School of Professional Studies, ISPS, Trustee Abdul Rahman Vanu, who recently gave a presentation to Khadse, said the rocket technology has been tested in areas like Sindhudurg and Sangli and can hit target in a range of 45 kilometers from the ground. In the technology, sugar acts as a propeller and silver iodine, which is at the tip of the rocket, is burst in the clouds according to our calculations. This causes a chemical reaction in clouds which causes rain within 40 to 60 minutes, Vanu said. Silver iodine of 47% purity is required in the process, which is to be imported from Argentina. For its import, we need an end-user certificate from the state government. Once we get the certificate, we will be ready to import iodine and generate artificial rainfall, he added. Vanu claimed that according to the latest technology available with them, a cloud can be shifted to a distance of 80 kilometers from its original position in order to get rainfall in a parched area.
Cloud seeding is a form of weather modification and a way of attempting to change the amount or type of precipitation that falls from the clouds. Gases containing chemicals are sprayed from aeroplanes which attach to existing clouds in the sky, attracting maximum moisture and enhancing the cloud's ability to produce precipitation or rain. The technique has yielded positive results in countries where it has been tried, and Namibia is eyeing the method in finding a solution to its drought crisis. Environment and Tourism Minister Pohamba Shifeta says a team from Cuba visited the country over the past 2 months, assessing the environmental impact and viability of cloud seeding. Concerns have, however, been raised over possible health hazards, the long-term environmental impact, not to mention the ecosystem that could be destroyed in this practice, given the potential harmful substances used in the process.
We can only accept wheat, something that can fit in our environment, and also something that will not have impact on our environment or our health of our people and so on, or the environment.
Namibia is now waiting on the Cuban team of experts to present their assessment report for the purpose of demonstrating the technique, after which a decision will be made whether or not to apply cloud seeding to obtain rain. An activity certification also has to be issued for the experiment. It may sound science fiction, but cloud seeding is real and has become popular in some countries since its invention in the 1940s. Not only is the technique used to ensure good showers, but also to reverse rain in favor of world-important events such as Olympic Games, like the one which took place in China in 2008. I'm Hengumbi, NBC News, Windhoek.
The UAE is one of the driest countries on Earth, with an annual rainfall of roughly 120 millimeters. As a result, it has to get creative when it comes to finding solutions for water. In the early 2000s, the UAE started performing regular cloud seeding operations. Cloud seeding is the process of increasing the amount of rain produced from clouds.
Some of these clouds, by nature, sometimes it rains, for example, only
40 to 50% of its rain that processed in the cloud that comes as rainfall. So by these operations, we try to increase this amount by, for example, from 15 to 30%.
So how does it work? It starts here, inside the National Center of Meteorology, where a team is constantly monitoring forecasts, looking for potential clouds to seed. The operations only work with cumulus clouds, which are vertical in shape.
Research 5 operation, can you read me?
Once they spot a cloud, they radio the pilots, who then take to the air armed with hydroscopic flares filled with a mixture of potassium chloride, sodium chloride, magnesium, and other materials. It's essentially salt. When the plane reaches the right clouds, the pilots release the flares.
These salts basically attracts the moisture and try to make it condense. So these particles becomes nuclei of condensation, and then when these droplets condense, and then they hit each other, and then they form a bigger droplet that the air cannot hold it any longer in the air, so it forms as rain.
In 2017, the UAE performed 242 cloud seeding operations. The government is confident the operations are increasing the amount of rainfall, but it's difficult to gauge.
Until now, there is no way that you can measure the success rate for each individual clouds. There are no two clouds are the same, and you don't know, for example, before actually you see the cloud, is it going to rain by itself or not, and by how much?
Now, China is using artillery to fight its drought. Weather officials fired rockets and shells filled with cloud-seeding chemicals into the sky. Chinese authorities hope to create a little bit of rain, easing the worst drought they've seen in decades. Emily Chang has the story.
Well, this is China's worst drought in half a century. It's been a long, dry winter, and national forecasters saying the next weeks and months could be just as dry. Some areas getting 80% less rainfall than they normally do. The problem is that many farms in China still rely heavily on rainfall to water their crops. Irrigation systems are poor. So over the weekend, China brought out the big guns, literally rockets loaded with cloud-seeding chemicals, fired those chemicals into the clouds to make it rain. But those clouds are thin and moving out of the drought-stricken area, so that's only going to be a short-term fix.
Cloud seeding will begin across 4 states in Malaysia after weeks of hot and dry weather, which sparked bushfires and triggered a water shortage.
But as Channel News Asia's Melissa Go reports tonight, the rain, even if it comes, might only bring temporary relief. It is unlikely to shore up reserve levels at nearby dams.
The thick haze that shrouded the Malaysian capital added to the woes of millions of residents already struggling to cope with a shortage of water. And while cloud seeding is unlikely to wash away the haze, many welcome the government's move to finally induce rain across Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Malacca and Johor.
Cloud seeding, our focus is mainly over the catchment area, the dam, so it will not stop the haze condition today. But I think in another 2 or 3 days, as the wind is strengthening, so it will disperse all this.
Authorities are confident that rain will fall in the targeted areas, but it's difficult to predict just how much it will increase water levels. So water rationing is set to continue.
So let's turn to some more articles. I learned a lot from doing research through some articles. The big thing I wanted to know was who is performing the cloud seeding. What types is it companies? Is it government agencies? Is it universities? Is it the people? You know, who is it? So mainly I found out it's either a government agency. For example, in China, they have a huge weather modification office that is part of their meteorological bureau. That affects much of their weather through their country. I found the North American Weather Modification Council. They don't, from what I could tell on their website, they don't own up to a lot of regulation or that there is regulation, but they are willing to educate people about cloud seeding. China has their own office of operations, but from what I could tell with other countries, there are over 50 countries that use cloud seeding, but it seems that most of them are contract with private companies who will do the cloud seeding for them. For example, in this article in Bloomberg, weather on demand, making it rain is now a global business. The man who's brought cloud seeding to 31 countries on 6 continents works out of an unassuming airfield in North Dakota, Patrick Sweeney. He's flown more than 6,000 hours of cloud seeding expeditions. Here he is, and that is his company, Weather Modification Incorporated. So as I was browsing around to find more countries that use cloud seeding, here is one. It is Jordan. They contracted with WeatherTech Services for cloud seeding. That's their website. Here's Russia. Russia spent millions on cloud seeding tech to prevent rain on its public holiday. A single contractor hired by the Russian government employed a technique known as cloud seeding. We know what that is now. I couldn't find the name of the company, but likely an American, right? As for Russia's public holiday, did the experiment work? Well, reporters say there was light rain on the day. So did the cloud seeding work and lessen the impact of the rain, or did it fail because there was rain? Did it have an effect at all? That's the problem. It's virtually impossible to tell. So as you can see, a fine example of climate capitalism. This was a great article, Pacific Standard of last year, Geo-Engineering, a dangerous tool or climate control of the future. This article acknowledges cloud seeding does not always go as planned. In 2009, China used cloud seeding to bring reprieve to a drought. As a result, the temperatures suddenly dropped and Beijing was blanketed in snow, in effect closing highways and causing road and air traffic delays. So they apparently overshot what they were going for. It's not just a question of seeding success, it's also one of outright effectiveness. Despite use by at least 52 countries around the world, the National Academy of Sciences and the American Meteorological Society have both stated that there is no evidence that cloud seeding actually leads to increased precipitation. Through all of my research, the only people I found that were against cloud seeding or had claimed that it doesn't work were farmers, and it was more anecdotal, claiming that they would have received rain from clouds that had been cloud seeded, but that rain fell on a different area, and so it prevented it from going to its natural location. There was just a lot of claiming that success was increasing rain by 5%, but really there's no way to tell if that rain cloud was gonna rain that much more. Anyway, so here is the article about the company. It is Just Clouds that is willing to cloud seed for you before your wedding. We hope that it will take off, and we would love to offer in the UK and Ireland as well as France. We're just waiting for our first sale. So it looks like they haven't had many buyers. This article also points out something really interesting. In Britain, cloud seeding is a largely unregulated industry. A Freedom of Information request in 2013 showed that the government had little knowledge of the nature, extent, or historical application of the practice. And as with the current debate over drone technology, cloud seeding exists in an ambiguous legal context. Who owns the sky? Who owns the clouds? What chemicals can be safely injected into them and which cannot? For the moment, these questions remain unanswered, and firms such as Just Clouds can operate with little scrutiny. So there's that climate capitalism right there. They've created their own industry, and now we have to go back and regulate them for fears that they're going to be harming us. Anyway, there's lots in the news, there's lots in the print media about cloud seeding. If you weren't familiar before, I hope you're familiar with the words now, and we'll keep an ear out for anything new coming out about it. Like I said in the other video, the UN is supposed to have a rule book on geoengineering coming out in the next 5 years about countries engaging in large-scale experiments. So hopefully we can get some countries, including ours, to sign that agreement. But we'll see. All right, thanks for watching.